Greg Gutfeld of Fox News attacked Bernie Sanders in what was probably one of the most bizarre, out-of-touch, misinformed, tone-deaf political hit jobs I've ever seen, because he claims that Bernie Sanders asserted that Donald Trump won because people rejected political correctness. However, the clip that he shows of Bernie Sanders talking does not feature Bernie Sanders saying anything about political correctness. In fact, he talks about something completely different. So Greg Gutfeld builds a rant against Bernie Sanders based on a straw man of what he said Bernie Sanders was saying, yet he didn't show Bernie Sanders saying what Greg Gutfeld was angry about Bernie Sanders saying in said clip in question. It's just weird. So take a look and then we'll discuss it.
In a town hall, Bernie Sanders claims Donald Trump won because people got sick of political correctness. Bernie's right until he defined what politically correct actually means.
For years and years, we have been told by Republicans and many Democrats that our trade policy was a great idea, that it was working for America. Well, you know what? The American people don't believe it. They think there's something wrong when just with permanent normal trade relations with China and the Mexican free trade agreement, we have lost some 4 million decent paying jobs. The American people, I think, want candidates and politicians to have the guts to stand up to the billionaire class and start representing the middle class and working families of this country. I don't think it's more complicated than that.
See what he did there? He turned real rebellion against the PC into something about class warfare. Sorry, Bernie, it's not about the billionaire class. There are 540 billionaires in America. Small class. But there are thousands of jerks telling us that we're evil. See, the PC rebellion is about a reaction against the media academic complex, which tells us what to say or else. People were tired of the identity wars that pitted young versus old, white versus black, gay versus straight. It's why each time a celebrity feminist lectured us on Trump, Hillary lost more votes. Every time Lena Dunham opened her trap, her causes shriveled, among other things. So it's not about trade or the rich. Industrialists aren't screaming slurs on campus telling us which pronouns are offensive or why Christmas carols are microaggressions. That's the PC movement. Power-mad twerps who use reputational smears to brand all of us as evil until we submit. And that's what bugs me about Sanders. He's been a socialist forever, mired in left-wing politics for decades, and now he diagnoses the problem. Dude, you are the problem. From the 1970s to now, you cared and you watered this toxic movement. So Bernie, 2016 was about millions of Americans becoming intolerant of that intolerant class. Let's hope it sticks.
So in his diagnosis as to why Donald Trump won, Bernie Sanders mentioned free trade deals and how we've lost millions of jobs because of them. And he also said that Americans want politicians to stand up to the billionaire class. Okay. Then Gutfeld says, see what he did there? He turned real rebellion against PC into something about class warfare. I don't think he did. And if he did, maybe you should give us the full context next time so you don't look like a disingenuous prick. Let's get into some of the other things he said. He said, sorry, Bernie, it's not about the billionaire class. There are some 540 billionaires in America. Small class.
540 billionaires in America. Small class. Small class. Small class.
Right. So it makes it even more absurd that those 540 people are able to buy our government officials and turn them into puppets and do what they want as opposed to what the rest of the country want. Is that, like, that's why we're angry. Such a small group of people have immense power. So I don't get how that proves your point. Now he gets back on the topic of the PC police. He said the PC rebellion is about a reaction against the media academic complex, which I don't know what that means, which tells us what to say or else. That's the PC movement. Power-mad twerps who use reputational smears to brand all of us as evil until we submit. Okay, sure, I'll accept that argument, but that's happening on the right, too. You know that, right? How many Christians were triggered by this billboard, for example? How many Christians get triggered when we make fun of God and Jesus? And who was it again that called for a literal safe space because he didn't want any criticism? Oh, that's right. It was the president-elect that you voted for. And now he also sues people that make fun of him. Talk about being triggered. And you motherfuckers literally defend, quote, religious liberty laws that allow Christians to kick gay people out of their businesses because they're triggered by homosexuality. That sounds like some right-wing PC bullshit to me. And why does it seem like I offend more people if I say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas? Why is that the case? Happy Holidays is just more correct because we're literally celebrating multiple holidays. Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, and New Year's. So to say Happy Holidays, it's just more correct. But yet if I say Happy Holidays, that ends up becoming more outrageous and politically incorrect than just saying Merry Christmas. Well, fuck me for wanting to be more inclusive because I know Jewish people who celebrate Hanukkah, right? I mean, it's so strange to me that these are the things that you focus on and you can't even see the hypocrisy on your own side. See, the difference between left-wing social justice warriors and right-wing social justice warriors is that the left-wing PC crowd, the college students who call for safe spaces, at least they have people on the right and the left calling them out. But the right-wing social justice warriors, they have real political power, and nobody checks them on your side. You give them a free pass and allow them to do whatever they want under the guise of religious liberty or freedom, when that's bullshit. Now, he also said it's why each time a celebrity feminist lectured us on Trump, Hillary lost more votes. I actually don't disagree with him here. I don't necessarily think it lost her votes, but I think it just turned people off to Hillary Clinton's message because she really overused identity politics and misused identity politics. So I don't have anything wrong with what he's saying here. Now, he said about Bernie Sanders, he's been a socialist forever, mired in left-wing politics for decades, and now he diagnoses the problem. Dude, you are the problem. From the 1970s to now, you cared and watered this toxic movement. So Bernie, 2016 was about millions of Americans becoming intolerant of that intolerant class. So you're saying Bernie Sanders' message was toxic. Here's an example of Bernie Sanders' message.
In our country today, we have more income and wealth inequality than any other major industrialized nation on earth. And brothers and sisters, together, we are going to end that disgrace. Now, the truth is that America today is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But most people don't know that. Most people don't feel that. Most people don't see that because almost all of the wealth rests in the hands of a tiny few.
Ooh, that seems pretty divisive and toxic to me, doesn't it, Greg? Is that why when Bernie Sanders talks to Trump supporters, he's able to convert them on the spot because what he's saying makes sense and a majority of Americans agree with it?
Do you think it's inappropriate to ask those people to start paying their fair share of taxes so we can adequately fund Medicaid and making public colleges and universities tuition free? Is that an unfair thing to ask?
I don't think it's an unfair thing to ask.
See, it seems like when you hear Bernie Sanders and see Bernie Sanders, you get triggered, Greg. So let me ask you this. Does somebody need a safe space, Greg? Because it seems like just the sight of Bernie Sanders sets you off on this incoherent rant when I don't even know the full context. Was Bernie Sanders actually talking about political correctness, or do you just think Donald Trump won because of political correctness and you think everyone is supposed to have the same belief? Is that a part of it? Sure, but I think what it really came down to was the fact that turnout was low, which benefited Republicans, and Donald Trump didn't really get more or less votes than any other Republican presidential candidates. I mean, it's his vote totals are comparable to Mitt Romney's in 2012 and John McCain's in 2008. So really, it was because Democrats weren't inspired to vote for Hillary Clinton. That's a big part of it. But I just don't understand how you connect the dot from Bernie Sanders' message about trade deals to PC outrage and whatnot. It makes no sense to me. So that's why I say that this was one of the most bizarre political hit jobs, because it really made no sense. I don't get what Greg Gutfeld is trying to say here. Why is what Bernie Sanders is saying connected to political correctness in any way, shape, or form? I don't know. So he's going to actually have to redo this segment, but actually give us the context next time.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.